Hello, Dr. Cisse covering anatomy and physiology. Today I will be talking about homeostasis, positive feedback, and negative feedback. What is homeostasis? Now, the word homeostasis, so homeo, the same state, is the ability of your body to keep a very balanced internal state. Let's think about it. Your body temperature is always between certain range. For example, 36.7, maybe 6 to 37.3. That's like average. So average is going to be 37 degrees Celsius. How come your body is able to keep this balance? For example, your heart rate between 90 to 60 to 120 to 80. Or your heart rate between 60 and 100, or the number of times you breathe per minute between 12 and 18. Now, how come your body is able to do that constantly, dynamically, means all the time? It is because there is a relationship between the organs that keeps these ranges, your brain, and the part of your body that receives the information to tell the brain. Now, every part has a name. Let's say, for example, we're talking about temperature. Your body keeps certain range of temperature. Now, what part of your body can sense temperature? Your skin. So your skin has something called receptors. So these receptors receive the stimulus. In this case, the stimulus is the temperature. So when it's hot or cold outside, your skin receives the information through the receptor to inform your brain. Your brain kind of makes sense out of it and send the command to an organ called an effector. That organ will carry the command to do something. It means that we have different type of receptors on different type of organs that will go to the brain, and the brain will give command to different types of organ that will be effector. Let's take an example of the temperature. If it's a temperature, your skin will be the organ that receives the information through receptors, which are just nerve endings. That receptors receives the information to tell the brain about it. Specifically, what part of the brain? The hypothalamus. The hypothalamus. Now, because the hypothalamus is the one that receives to give the command, it's called the control center. Why? Because it controls what to do about it. It controls the whole situation. It receives the information and it gives the command. Where does it give it to? So it depends on the temperature. Let's take two different examples. Let's say it is hot. Okay, it's hot. Your body your skin receive the heat. That heat is sensed by your receptor that will send it to the control center in the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus has to make a decision to tell somebody, hey, it is too hot, let's make it cold. So what would be the part of your body that has to do something to cool you off? Your sweat gland. So in this case, we're going to have sweat gland. What does your sweat gland will do? Secrete what? Sweat. So the sweat. So if you think about it, the hot temperature is getting to the brain, and the brain is giving the command to the sweat gland to secrete sweat. The sweat is going to cool you off because this hot temperature had a response by colding, that's by making you cold. We call that a negative feedback system. Another example will be, let's say this temperature is cold. Let's say it's cold heat. Your receptor receives the information that's cold. It will send the information to your brain, the hypothalamus, which is the control center, which will give a command to another organ to make you hot. In this case, it will talk to your muscles. Your muscles will shiver. They'll kind of kind of move against each other to create heat. The heat will come back and cool you and warm you up against the cold temperature. The fact that when you're cold, your brain tells you to be hot. When you're hot, your brain tells you to be cold. All this is done so that you can keep your 37 degrees Celsius range so that you won't be too hot or too cold. This system is called what? The negative feedback system. Now, another example will be in your home. You have a thermostat, and you have thermometer on your thermostat. Then you have heater, and you have AC. So in this case, if you have your thermometer on your thermostat, kind of senses the temperature. If it's hot, it will tell your AC to work, in this case the sweat gland. And if it's cold, it will tell your heater, just like your muscle, to produce heat. So the AC and heater, or your skin, in this case your skin receiving the temperature, and your sweat gland or your muscle will be the same thing. One tells you it's hot to make you cold, in this case AC and sweat gland. The other one is hot, it will is cold, telling the brain is cold, will tell the heater or the muscle to secrete, to produce heat to warm you up, so that you can have this balance. This goes constantly in your body. That's why homeostasis is the constant change of temperature, of the maintenance of that temperature in your body, to keep a balance in your body. Now, the second thing we talk about will be the positive feedback system. The positive feedback system will be when your body receives something, three receptors, right? Three receptors, tell the brain, and the brain will give the command to make it even more. So it means that you receive a stimulus. Let's say, for example, you are hot. If it goes back to your brain, if your brain tells you, hey, I want you to be even hotter, that will be positive because you're going with the system. But that's not healthy, because if you're too hot, you'll be sick, you're gonna die. So high temperature is not a good thing. One good example, physiological example, will be during childbirth. Let's say a woman is giving birth. Then the baby coming out of the birth canal will put pressure against the birth canal. That will incite your brain to secrete an hormone called oxytocin. So oxytocin will be secreted so that the birth canals can even open more. You see how the pressure induces the production of oxytocin, which will make you produce more oxytocin, because that pressure is not going against the stimulus, but it's going with the stimulus. It's the same thing with the blood clotting. If you cut yourself, you bleed. In order for your body to stop bleeding, it has to secrete clotting agent, something thick that will make your blood thick so it can cover the wound. In that case, the more bleeding, the more your brain is telling you to secrete more clotting agent. The more bleeding, the more clotting agent, because the stimulus is telling the brain something happens. The stimulus is just informing the brain through the receptor, obviously, and then the brain tells you, do more of the same thing. Do more will be what? Positive. When you go against the stimulus, it's called negative. The two, negative and positive feedback together, are done to keep an internal balance called what? Homeostasis. Thank you for watching.